was first demonstrated by Professor Edwin Henry Barton and is known as Barton's pendulums. This pendulum is with the heavy bob and is called the driver pendulum. The other pendulums have bobs of lighter weights. One of them has the same length as that of the driver pendulum. This one. This has the same natural frequency as that of the driver pendulum. This has a shorter length and therefore higher natural frequency, and this is longer and has lower natural frequency. When the driver pendulum is allowed to oscillate freely, it transmits the energy of oscillation to the other pendulums. The one with the same length achieves the maximum amplitude. This is what we call resonance. These two pendulums have lower amplitude and is example of forced vibration. After some time, the amplitude of the driver pendulum decreases due to damping, but the amplitude of this pendulum is still high. Now this becomes the driver pendulum and this one the driven. Watch carefully how the amplitude of this one increase. Also notice that all the pendulums are not oscillating in the same phase. From this video, we get a fair bit of conception about forced vibration and resonance. For better concept, we have to do some maths, that means calculus. In forced vibration, the oscillator is always under the influence of three forces. Number one, restoring force, which tend to bring the oscillator back to the equilibrium position. Number two, the damping force, which is proportional to the velocity of the oscillator and act opposite to that of the restoring force. Number three, the driving force, which is an external force applied to the oscillator. The differential equation for such oscillator is this. Here, Gt is the driving force function. This equation is called a non-homogeneous second-order differential equation with constant coefficients. These type of equations have a solution of the type y equal to yc plus capital Y. Here, yc is the general solution of this equation and is called the complementary solution. Capital Y is the particular solution and depend on the nature of the function gt. For forced vibrations, we will be interested in external forces which are periodic in nature, that is gt equal to f0 cos omega t or f0 sin omega t. Forced vibration and resonance without damping. Here, this is the differential equation. The complementary solution is this. A and B is calculated by the method of undetermined differential equation. The complementary solution is this. The particular solution is this. A and B is calculated by the method of undetermined coefficients. We get A equal to this and B equal to 0. Now taking boundary conditions y equal to 0 when t equal to 0 and y dash equal to 0 when t equal to 0, in order to solve C1 and C2, we get C1 equal to this and C2 equal to 0. Therefore, the solution is this. Here, the displacement is the sum of two periodic functions. The amplitude of this periodic function is controlled by another periodic function. The amplitude showing periodic variation is an example of beats. In case of resonance, that is when omega 0 is equal to omega, the particular solution cannot be this, because in that case it will become impossible to evaluate the value of the constants. So this is taken as the particular solution. Here A equal to 0 and B equal to this. The general solution is therefore this. Here amplitude of the third term increases infinitely with time. This is actually not possible because there is always some damping. Forced vibration and resonance with damping. Here this is the differential equation. Therefore, this is the complementary solution and this is the particular solution. The solution is therefore this. The first part has an exponential function with a negative power. Therefore, it becomes 0 as time goes by. As long as this does not become 0, displacement is due to both these parts having frequencies this and this. The amplitude in this case varies as in the case of beats. This motion is called transient motion, where the natural frequency of the oscillator omega 0 and the frequency of the driving force omega fight with each other. When the exponential term comes down to 0, this part becomes 0 and this part take over. That means the driving force frequency wins the battle and now the oscillator oscillates with the driving force frequency. This motion is called steady state motion. In case of resonance, the particular solution remains the same because there is no difficulty in finding the constants. Therefore, the particular solution at resonance is this. Here, the amplitude is this and become infinitely high when the damping is very small, that is k is almost equal to 0. Phase lag at steady state. Case 1. Omega 0 equal to omega. The oscillating body lags behind by quarter of a cycle than the driving force when the steady state of motion is reached. Case 2. Omega 0 is much greater than omega. When omega 0 is much bigger than omega and for very small damping, this term approaches 0 from the positive side and this angle can be taken as 0. That is, when omega 0 is much bigger than omega, then the oscillator oscillates in the same phase with the driving frequency at steady state. Case number 3. Omega 0 is much less than omega. When omega 0 is much less than omega and the damping is small, this term approaches 0 from the negative side and this angle can be taken as pi. That is, when omega 0 is much smaller than omega, then the oscillator lags half a cycle behind the driving frequency at steady state.
Welcome to the vibration lab. This is a universal vibration apparatus. Today we will see free and force vibration of this system. So first I would like to explain you what is this system. If you will closely observe, there is a spring connected with this beam like structure, but if you will see, it is not exactly a beam. This is the free end of the beam and the other is the pin end. So the left one is a pin end, right one is a free end which is connected with this spring, and there is a motor mounted on the beam. Now if you will see, or if I will ask you how many degree of freedom this system possesses when it will exhibit vibration. So if there would have been a fixed beam, in case of a fixed beam, the number of degree of freedom of this beam would be infinite because the beam like structure will act like a cantilevered beam. But now as I have added a pin joint to the left side, now this is not acting as a beam, it is just like a structure where one end is a pin end and another end is connected with this spring, and the contribution of mass is by this motor as well as the mass of the beam. Now there are other components we can see. One of the arrangement we can see here is a indicator. What happens here, if you are exciting your beam, you can add a pen or pencil here, and during this motion, if I will give rotation to this motor, this graph paper will slide on this surface, and at that time we can measure the oscillation of the beam on this paper. Another thing is this controller. This controller basically used to control the RPM of the motor, which we are going to use for the excitation. So this is our controller. On the controller panel there are 3 buttons. Actually this is for the on and off of the controller. Middle one is to excite the motor. Here is an indicator which gives the measurement of the RPM of the motor. That is done using a tachometer. Now there are few more components on our machine, but which are not related to this present experiment. So now I am just explaining you that how we will perform the free and force vibration. In the beginning, if you are interested to find the free vibration of this beam, one of the way is to just give an excitation to your beam, and during the excitation you can use a stopwatch to measure the oscillation frequency of this beam, or you can use this graph paper indicator so that you can find the oscillation of the beam. Once you will find the natural frequency of this beam, for example, if you will measure and you find that the natural frequency of this beam is around 3 Hz. 3 Hz means it's 180 RPM. Once you will find free vibration frequency, your second job is to give force vibration to your beam and validate that whether when you are giving an excitation of 3 Hz, whether the amplitude is high. That will show you the resonating condition of your system, where the free vibration frequency and the force vibration frequency become equal. So now I will start my motor and I will show you step by step that how the system behaves. So let's now start our motor and see how the system behaves. So I am first motor and see how the system vibrates. If you will see the motor, there are 2 discs attached at both the sides of the motor, and there is a unbalanced force, unbalanced mass added on this disc. So when the disc rotates, because of the unbalanced force, there is a harmonic excitation in the vertical direction as well as in the horizontal direction. However, there is no flexibility in the system to vibrate in the horizontal direction. So because of this vertical harmonic excitation, the system will give, there is a vertical excitation to the bar. So now I am increasing the RPM of my system. Currently the RPM is 188, and you can see there is a small level vibration in the system. Now I will increase slowly and I will observe that what happens in the system. Now my RPM has reached to a value of 214, and the vibration level, if you will observe that there is a little increment in the amplitude of vibration. I will give further increment in my rotational speed. Currently my speed is 136 RPM, and you can see the level of vibration becomes very high. If I will increase further, now my rotational speed becomes 270 RPM, and if we will compare the current vibration level with the previous condition, so we can conclude that there is a reduction in the vibration amplitude. Now I will give further increment in the speed, and you see my level of rotation level is 295 RPM, and the level of displacement of the system becomes very low. If I will give further increment in the rotational speed, now my rotational speed has become 340 RPM, and you see there is almost negligible vibration level in the beam. So if I conclude the whole procedure, I would find that when I am increasing my frequency at a level of 240 RPM, there is a large amplitude vibration. That means the system has resonance at that level. That means the natural frequency will definitely close to the 240 RPM, or I would say around 4 Hz. So basic objective of this experiment is to compare the free and force vibration, observe the resonating condition, and validate your result by doing the force vibration test and free vibration test. With this note, I would like to conclude my whole experiment. In this experiment, if you closely observe the system possesses a spring, a beam-like structure mounted with a motor, but let me tell you, this is not a beam. Actually, it is a beam, but one of the end of the beam is a pin joint. That means it is not behaving like a beam. Since in the configuration it looks like a cantilevered beam, but if this end would have been a fixed end, then only this structure will behave like a cantilevered structure. And in that condition, when this end would be a fixed joint, the system will have infinite degree of freedom. But in the current state, since it is a pin joint, and if I will remove this joint, if I will remove the spring, the whole system will fall on the ground. That means currently the spring is the only element which is providing a restoring force, and this beam-like structure as well as the motor acting as a concentrate mass. So if I want to make an equivalent spring mass system, it is simply one spring with a mass. Therefore, the system has only 1 degree of freedom, and as we have observed that the natural frequency of the system is around 4 Hz, and when I am giving a force excitation of 240 RPM, system having a resonating condition. Thank you.
Okay, so today we